Of course there's no volume. I had the microphone muted like a big dummy. So what's everybody up to? Hopefully there was some flying done this weekend. What is going on, Farmer Man, Shadow Ops, Dave's RC, William Mergita, Brad Butler, Joseph Youngblood, David Martin Graff. It is good to see everybody in here. Pilot Ryan, how you doing? Lots and lots of folks. Hey, there's nothing wrong with flying quads, man. As long as you're putting something in the air, it's all good. Even if it's a truck. Hey, check it out, man. There's some people with some gold badges. That's awesome. All right, now, thank you, Mr. Airvexed. Who was it that was asking a question about... Well, no, I didn't cut it all off. It's still there. It's just, it's been trimmed. It's been trimmed a little. Gooniac, how you doing? Yes, I like to see the golden stickers. I do. You should see it when I dye my hair. Goodness, I look like I'm in my 20s again. So, someone had mentioned that they bought a, I think it was Ken Sprouse, had mentioned that he had purchased a Freewing BAE Hawk, great plane, and was wondering about setting up flaps in the IX-12. So if you have a specific question, leave it in the chat and I will absolutely answer that for you. Today, we're just kind of shooting the breeze a little bit. I haven't had a video up in a while. There are some coming that is more, techno geeky stuff. I, had an opportunity to get out the, sorry, my cat's here in my lap. So if it looks like I'm doing, gross things, it's because the cat is sitting here. Now the IX-12 has a screen protector on it, and it makes it look like it's on all the time. Dave's RC, that's what I'm talking about. That's my favorite place to get AIDS. This dumb cat. All right. So, whoever it was that has the Freewing, I was rubbing something. Whoever it was that had the Freewing BAE Hawk that had a question about flaps on an IX-12, go ahead and grab the, put your question in the chat. I will answer it when I see it. For everybody else, yes, the F-22 Raptor, this thing has made its maiden flight, and it is awesome. So, Ryan's in the house. Ryan sent this guy to me. It is bad to the bone, man. I love this plane. I love this plane. It is absolutely the best flying 90mm that I have flown. It's great. And it's so good, in fact, that whatever issues exist with the fuselage, it is totally worth buying another fuselage. So, I love this thing. Right now, it doesn't have any front gear doors, and the bottom is all scraped up. Now, I got a lot of feedback on a picture that I posted. I put a pretty cool picture on Facebook, so if you're not on Facebook and you missed it, I apologize. But it's a pretty cool picture. that's got vapor trails coming off the wings. One of the guys at my club takes photographs. You know, he's a photographer, and he went into After Effects, Adobe After Effects, and added 2 vapor trails coming off the wings, and it looks awesome. You know, and you can kind of see the belly of the plane, and it looks like it's, you know, just weathered to hell, because it is. But you know, and the other thing that was going on with it, it's not a problem. It's already been fixed. Was because of the fixes that I made on the front, the nose cone doesn't engage the magnets quite as good as it should. So I just foam tack the nose cone onto the plane. I don't care. So I'm still kind of up in the air about whether or not I want to replace the whole fuselage, because it flies great with it the way it's sitting. I may just put new nose gear covers on it and be done, because the feedback that I got about the bottom, you know, we'll call it Ryan Signature. The feedback that I have on the bottom with Ryan Signature has been, you know, very positive. So I may just leave it all scraped up on the bottom, which makes it where, you know, I can fly it a little more crazy. All right, so Ken Sprouse. First thing is, let me bust out my IX-12 here so I can be reading along while I tell you. All right, the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that your wing type is set correctly. So you're going to want to go into model setup and go to aircraft type. And then under your wing and tail type, you want to make sure that your wing is set to 1 aileron, 1 flap. All right, and that's going to open up a menu option called Flap Setup in your Model Adjust menu. So when you go to Model Adjust, you'll have Flap System, and under Flap System, you know, when you go to change the flap, so you set up a switch for your flaps. I usually just set it up on the D switch. You'll have position 0, position 1, position 2, and it'll have like a flap percentage. And that percentage, you know, so you'll have flap and elevator, where you set up your flap position as well as your elevator percentage. If you want a flap to elevator mix for that particular position. And, you know, typically it's set to like 100, 0, negative 100. But where you set that, that's where you're setting your endpoints for each position. You know, so the flap percentage is where you're setting that endpoint. And you can adjust them on the fly. So if you've got like your AR630 installed and you are in your flap system, when you adjust the flap percentage, you can see the flap moving, you know. So you would set your top position to the flaps, you know, when they're full up, and then, you know, position, and that'd be position 0 is full up. And then position 1, you would measure it out based on the manual, you know. So if the manual says that position 1 should be, you know, 22 millimeters or whatever the case may be, you know, measure 20 millimeters and set it to position 2, adjust that percentage up or down to get, you know, to 20 millimeters, and then go to position 3 and adjust as necessary to get to your full flap position. And that should get you what you need. And then for your elevator, if the book calls out for a flap to elevator mix, that's where you would go to set that as well. And you just base that off of, you know, the position. I don't think that FreeWing has percentages for your elevator mix. I think it just gives you millimeter callouts, so it'll say like in flat position, E1 or whatever whatever it says in the manual, use 2 millimeters of up elevator. So you would just adjust that, with the switch in position 1 for mid flaps. Adjust that percentage in your elevator mix up or down to get the measurement that it's calling out in the manual, and then, like I said again, flip it to position 2 to get the flap to elevator mix for position 2. And that's all there is to it. I know that's a lot to say, but that flap system, like I said, is unlocked when you change the aircraft wing type to 1 aileron, 1 flap. Once you have that set, then you go to your flap system and your model adjust, and that's where you can change all of that stuff. Thanks. So hopefully that helped you out and get you on the right track. Ken Sprouse, no, you do not have to do forward programming over again. You may have to go in to forward programming. There's a menu, and I don't have a plane here that I can just fire up real quick. I do, but it's hanging on the wall, right? So because it's hanging on the wall, it wouldn't be easy to do that. So my PC-21's sitting on the ground. I could fire that up real quick and go into the forward programming menu. But what I'll tell you is, in forward programming, what you're looking for is an option called relearn servo positions or something to that effect. And that's where you'd want to go after you set up, if you have to do any servo reversing to get your servos to go in the right direction. With forward programming, you do all that in the transmitter, and then you go into forward programming in the receiver and set up, and do the relearn your servos, and then everything is good to go. So no, you don't have to redo all of the forward programming that you've done already. Mickey B, thank you, sir. I'm a big fan of Mr. Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters! Yep. Amy was here for just a moment, but she's being all camera shy, which is a shame because she's wearing her RC Air Marshal ladies tee tonight, which looks awesome. And, maybe she'll come and make a guest appearance here shortly. At some point for a moment. We'll see. No, I'm not doing the Boston accent thing. If I am, it's coming very naturally. It happens when I talk fast. Oh, God. Somebody park the car. David Snyder at Wood. What's up, GB? All right. So, yep, I talked about the F-22. This thing is awesome. I talked to James this morning, and we are planning on taking the F-18. So the VFC-12 F-18 will be making its maiden flight potentially on Saturday. There's other things going on that are, things that I don't. I mean, it's not like I can't talk about it. I just, there's no point in talking about other people's, things that are going on. But we will potentially be taking this up to Dalton, to their municipal airport, for an RC Fun Fly that has been authorized. And if that is happening, that'll be awesome because we've got, a full scale runway that we can utilize and a lot more space to set up approaches and takeoffs and things like that. So we got much more room to fly, and it's a lot less nerve-wracking, when you're flying at a place where you have effectively unlimited runway at your disposal. So we should be going up there on Saturday, unless something else changes, and we'll be getting some footage of the VFC-12 F-18 taking to the skies for the first time, which will be awesome. What did happen? What shut down? The stream? Did the stream shut down? Did I lose it? I may taxi out 150 yards. You never know. Other things that are going on. The progress of the MiG-29, the Arrows RC MiG-29 that I busted the nose off of. For those of you that were watching Dave's RC show on Friday night, you saw that the nose has been put back together. It does have some, it still has some gouges and stuff in the front. I've got some Hobby Light filler that will be here tomorrow. And my plan is to fill in all those gashes and stuff, sand it out, repaint it white and red, so the top half is white, the bottom is red. Sand it out, paint it, put the satin coat back on it, and get that guy back in the sky too, because I miss my MiG-29, man. And I didn't want to pay insano prices for spare parts, so I ended up fixing everything. I do still need to get some servos. I think I mentioned that last week. I'm going to go ahead and grab a couple of the Freewing digital Metal Gear 9-gram servos, one forward, one reverse, to replace the elevator servos, because I know that one of those is bad, and that should get us back in business with the MiG-29. Before I order the servos, I'll go ahead and do an operational test of all of the servos to make sure that that's the only one that failed, that I don't have any issues with the rudders, flaps, ailerons, or nose wheel steering, anything like that. So if I do need to order more than just those two, I can, go ahead and order all of them at the same time. But we should be able to get that MiG-29 back up in the air within a week. So I'm pretty excited about that. Another, big kind of, I don't know. I mean, it's not that big of a repair. When you think about foam and what you can do with foam airplanes, especially after they wreck, I mean, nothing is unheard of. Almost anything can be repaired on a foam aircraft if you're using the right tools, the right materials. So with the MiG, I use the white Gorilla Glue because for clean brakes, actually these were not clean brakes, so that's why I went with the Gorilla Glue, because the Gorilla Glue expands and kind of fills in the areas where you may not necessarily have all the foam you used to, or it's not the exact same shape that it used to be in. For clean brakes, I'll use foam tack all day. But for, kind of jagged brakes, like what we had in the MiG-29, I use the Gorilla white foaming glue. Brian Chambers, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. Yep, so we use the Gorilla foaming glue, and I still need to take, it's not quite exactly straight, so I still need to take some steam to it and, kind of bend it back where it's straight again. And then just kind of massage everything in place, and then I'll put the Hobby Light in there, fill in all of the, divots and everything, sand it out smooth, paint it, sand it out smooth, put a coat of the polyurethane on it, paint it, and then put another coat of polyurethane on it to kind of seal that paint in and get it looking normal again. And then we'll take this thing out and fly it some more, because I think it will fly again, and hopefully we won't have any issues. We'll see. Spencer Keith, thank you, sir. You guys are fantastic. David Snyder, I did not actually see James today. I spoke to him on the phone. I may be seeing James either tomorrow or Wednesday. And whenever I see him next, I will absolutely get the package to him. And what's fun is I haven't opened it yet, so he gets to do like a full unboxing. It'll be excellent. Deuces, that's awesome. So I haven't actually flown one of the MiG-21s. I've seen plenty of them. Robert Turner, thank you, sir. I did receive a small donation from Robert Turner via PayPal. I very much appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I've never flown one of the MiG-21s. I've seen plenty of them. They actually look like they fly great. Even though it's a big Delta, they look like they fly really well. And I know that there's plenty of people in here that have the MiG-21 that would be able to either confirm or deny that. Now, I know Spencer Keith has a MiG-21, or he used to. Maybe he sold it. Maybe it sucked and he sold it. There you go. Victor Shamulus letting us know. So Spencer Keith still has it, so that means that it flies well. Spencer Keith is not one to beat around the bush. If he doesn't like something, he'll get rid of it immediately. And then he'll tell you how bad it sucks. Mr. John Nunes, it's going well, my friend. It is going well. Man, I've got something. Like, it's probably cat hair. Stupid cat. So, what I'll tell you guys is anytime that there's like a lag, and for those of you that have been following the channel for a while, over this past year, this is our 40th show. We've missed a couple of weeks here and there, so, excuse me. So we're looking at like 10 and a half, almost 11 months that we've been running the channel now, which is awesome. And all of you guys are the reason that I keep doing this. So for those of you, and most of the people that follow along in the live streams, you guys have been here since the very start. And I absolutely appreciate everybody that follows the channel and all of the channel members and everything. For those of you that have been around a while, you usually know that like if I go on any kind of, if there's any kind of delay in regular videos, it's probably because I'm learning something or working on something. Like the F-18, that was a big project, and it required me to work on a lot of stuff. And, a lot of times, all of the work, learning, or doing something only culminates in a video that's worth about 5 good minutes of coverage, which really sucks. So that's why I really appreciate you guys coming around to the live shows, because the things that I do, or the things that I've been doing lately, they're not necessarily reviews of new airplanes, but the customized paint job of that F-18, I mean, that took weeks. Getting the F-22 ready to go. We'll have some flight footage on that, but that took a little bit. Not a lot, but it took a little bit to get that thing going. Putting the MiG-29 back together. Um, I mean, these are things that while there is, there's may not be a specific video out there of, hey, I fixed my MiG-29. It's more stuff that I'd like to present in photos, and have that on a forum somewhere, rather than documenting it in a video. It just takes so long. And I know that that's probably not what a lot of people want to hear from a guy that makes YouTube videos. But one thing that I am going to be making a video about, and this was you know also something that has taken the better part of more than one day, is my efforts working with OpenTX and the Radiomaster TX16S. So, and the reason being not so much to make new content on how to program OpenTX, because there are some outstanding tutorials that I myself have been learning from about how to program OpenTX, but more specifically, how to get OpenTX working with Spectrum stuff, or DSMX in particular. One of the things that I took a while trying to figure out yesterday, and it's just little things in OpenTX. A little check mark here will open up all kinds of stuff, but if you don't know to uncheck that box or check that box, you end up getting screwed. So, one of the things that I worked on quite a while yesterday, and Kenny was gracious enough to share some of his time. I don't know if Kenny's in here, by the way. There he is. There's Kenny. So I don't want to give up, Kenny's awesome news. I'm glad to see you in here tonight, Kenny, by the way. So that means that nothing super bad has happened. Kenny's got an interesting story that I'm sure he'll share on Thursday. I'm not going to give it away because it's something that you deserve to hear from him directly. But Kenny had something very interesting happen yesterday, and within hours of this event in his life occurring, he stayed on the phone with me for a while we hashed out how to set up a few things in OpenTX, like some last minute things that I was trying to get figured out. So now with OpenTX, I've got it bound up and working well with my UMX Turbo Timber. I did like a dozen flights with the UMX Turbo Timber yesterday with the Radiomaster, the multi-protocol module, and it worked fantastic. I didn't have any issues, no signal dropouts, nothing. And it's kind of like just building trust with something new. How much confidence do you want to put in this new thing that you've never used before? And that's kind of where I'm at with this Radiomaster right now. I'm still very new to kind of hashing out and figuring out the OpenTX thing. I've got it working fine with my drones and Crossfire, but I'll tell you, the guys that use OpenTX for drones, I mean, they're using like it's kind of like Einstein saying that people only use 10% of their brains, or whoever said that. There is so much more that you can do with OpenTX outside of what the guys that fly drones and Betaflight and iNav are using. Most of the stuff is set up in Betaflight or iNav, and you just are sending an on-off switch, to a feature inside of Betaflight or iNav. But what I figured out is it can do so much more than that. And is it enough for me to like stop using Spectrum? No, I'll still continue to use my IX-12 because the IX-12 has been fantastic. But it's pretty awesome. You know, I can definitely see it being that backup radio in the event that something bad were to happen to the IX-12. I could definitely see me, you know, reverting over to the Radio Master to fulfill, you know, my flying needs until I could get the IX-12 back from Horizon. So, needless to say, I mean, I've been pretty impressed with OpenTX as a system. But the videos that I am making, and it may only be one video because it's not a hard process. Again, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel or do something that kind of overlaps other great content that's already out there. You know, if you want to know how to do Admiral receivers, great. You know, there's a whole thing on how to set up Admiral receivers already. You know, if the stuff that Ryan did years ago is still out there, great. There's stuff that James has done. There's plenty of stuff for both Admiral and Limit RX. But what I did was, you know, and I'm kind of moving up in value. So I've got my UMX Turbo Timber, which is probably the cheapest plane I own. That's where I started. And next I'm going to be doing my Dynam planes. My Dynam planes are all running Admiral RX 600 SPs. The Admiral receivers, they needed a little bit of special love in OpenTX to get them to work. And that's what I want to document, is specifically how to get OpenTX working well with an Admiral receiver. So, and again, specifically the RX 600 XP. And this would also, you know, play into like the Limit RX 7-channel stabilized plus receivers, because of the way they work and the way that you turn mode function on and off, where it's like a 5% offset mix with the landing gear channel. There were certain specific things that I had to do inside of OpenTX to get those mixes to work, to get the OpenTX to function as an 8-channel transmitter, where, you know, when it connects to the RX 600, it kept reverting back to 7 channels. And even if you told it to go up to 8, it wouldn't do it. So there were specific things that I had to do, little caveats that I had to do. And like the way that I set up my timers and the way that I set up my throttle kill switch, there are things that I did where I took bits and pieces of other people's tutorials and made my own logical switch setup, where I've got a timer and throttle kill switch that are, you know, almost foolproof, and they work better than any other implementation of a timer or throttle kill that I've seen. And I just want to share that kind of stuff, where we've got a video, not to tell you how to use OpenTX or to tell you how to use Radio Master or to tell you how to use multi-protocol or any of that. You know, this is like for somebody that's got this radio that wants to set it up specifically for an Admiral RX 600 SP or Limit RX receiver. I haven't seen any other videos out there on how to do it. So, and that's usually where I'll step in. If I don't see that anyone else has done it, I'll do it. So that's where we're at. RC Addict, that is awesome. Crossfire, I think, will do up to 12 or 16 channels as long as you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of latency. It won't run at full speed above 8 channels, but that's fine. You know, that's all I need in Crossfire is 8 channels. Dave Bledsoe, you know, I was talking about you the other day, and then you showed up. you started showing up in the streams again, and I wasn't saying anything bad. I was like, man, it'd be awesome to see old Dave Bledsoe again. I think I was talking to GB, just an offline conversation. I was like, man, where's Dave Bledsoe been? No one's seen him in a while. So I'm really happy to see you again, man. It's good to see you. It's good to have you, back in the streams talking again. And I mean, let's talk on Facebook, man, because I'd love to have you as a guest on the show, so we can kind of catch up a little bit, and the people that miss, seeing your shiny happy face can see you again for the first time in months. Yeah, man, I'm gonna slide right in there, brother. And we can talk about guns and army helmets and large turbine jets, maybe some T-33 or F-18 action. I'd love to have you on the show maybe next week, so we can catch up. So we can catch up. We can get you caught up with the whole community, man. I know there's a lot of people that miss old Bledsoe coming in on Tuesdays, man. I'd love to see those new planes. I think the whole community would love to see those new planes, which we're gonna work with old Dave Bledsoe there, George. We're gonna get the community looking in on some airplanes, but Bledsoe's got to wear his army helmet if he's gonna come on the show. He's got to wear his army helmet. Right, deuces. Bledsoe probably did get hit by a train. You never know with that guy, man. Peter Jacob, that is RC Stinger. Thank you, sir. I got another generous contribution via PayPal from RC Stinger. What is a Foo Fighters? Don Willman. Somebody tell old Don Willman what a Foo Fighter is. So, after the unbox, are you talking about the 630? Airvexed, do I have a video to show the forward programming of the Pilatus on the 637? So I've got a 630, an AR630 on the Pilatus. There has not been an update since the unboxing, although I do have footage of the first flights of the Pilatus. I got to drag Amy out to the airfield. And when it gets hot outside, she doesn't like it. So we've got some really good opportunities here in the next week or so, where we'll get Amy out to the field and get some better footage, because, nobody likes to watch hat cam videos. And we'll go over that process. Now, for people that are in here and anybody that sees this after the fact, the AR630 uses the exact same programming steps as the AR637T. So I do need to make just a standalone video about the AR630 and making that correlation, very clearly known, that following the AR637T programming series will get you exactly we'll get you everything that you need to program the AR630 as well. And that should go for any other forward programming receiver that they have, may or may not see in the near future. I don't know about all that. What is up, Fred Barron? Good to see you in here, my friend. Yes, so Brian Brissett is correct. In World War II, UFOs in Europe were called Foo Fighters. And if you look at the name of Dave Grohl's, it's got something to do with UFOs and aliens and things like that. And if you look at the name of Dave Grohl, the name of his publishing company. So since it may have even been their first album, they may have gone like with their own record label, like right off the bat. I think maybe their first album was carried by another company. It may have been their second or third that they said, you know what, screw it. Our publishing company is going to be our own company. And the name of that company is like Roswell Records or something like that, which is another reference to, you know, major events that had to do with extraterrestrial activity. So apparently Dave Grohl is, has some interest in UFOs and extraterrestrial things. You know, so Spencer, they would not film an FMS plane. I'm sure if I was flying a free wing plane, they would film it all day long. But I don't think they're going to waste their precious SD card space on an FMS airplane. I think Dave Grohl's leg is good, man. That's been a few years back. That was like 2015. Yeah, like 2015 that he broke his leg. So yeah, like 5 years later, I think Dave Grohl's good to go. Oh, listen, Airvexed, the AR637T series that I've got up is complete. The unboxing of the and kind of installation of the AR630 in the FMS Pilates, that is Pilates, sure, the PC-21 from FMS. That is absolutely not the only video I've got with those. So if you look on my channel, like on the home screen of the RC Air Marshal YouTube channel, and look at my playlists, you'll see one there, an AR637T programming series. And that's got everything that you need, you know, from start to finish to get an AR637T programmed. So, yeah, man, check that out. I think there's 12 or 13 videos in there that will absolutely get you, you know, 90 to 100% of the way there. There's a Horizon magazine? Maybe I did. I haven't checked the mail. Thanks, Bledsoe. I appreciate that. Yes, GB, you dirty bastard. We film on SD cards. I'm trying to remember what's on this. This is where I keep all the film from my FPV, you know, from my headset for FPV. That's where I keep all my film. This is where I keep all my taped recordings, my taped audio recordings. That's where I keep them. And then I've got another one where I keep all the film from my AX53, and another one that I keep all the film from my GoPro. So yeah, man, you know, lots of film and taped footage on these SD cards. Bledsoe, does that not count? Have I been doing it wrong this whole time? So, Bledsoe, I always thought that was That was how people eat salads, right? Right? Isn't that doesn't that have something to do with salads? Jeff West, I have not heard of anybody having issues with the iX20. What I'll say, free admission of there being not horrible issues, but there were definitely some bugs in the early software revisions of the iX12, and as the iX12 has matured as a product over time, and there have been many revisions and updates to the Airware software, the iX12 has gotten considerably better. So, any reviews that you're reading about an iX12 that came within the first 6 months to a year of its release, I would take a lot of those with a grain of salt, because the software, specifically the Airware, software that's the heartbeat of the iX12, has changed so much since then that it's not even really the same product anymore. It's kind of like taking an iPhone from the beginning and looking at an iPhone or even an Android phone today. I mean, if you look at iPhone or Android on version 1 and you compare that to version 14, it's two completely different operating systems. They don't work anything like they used to. It's familiar, but it's not the same. And that's how the iX12 has matured in those 2 years. It is similar to how it used to be, but it is a lot better now. It's much more stable. You're not getting any crashes. You're not losing a bunch of data. And I would think that a lot of the programming, I don't want to say faults, right? Because they weren't really faults, but a lot of the lessons learned that they figured out during the initial year of development of the iX12 were implemented right away in the iX20. And I'm not sure that a lot of folks that had an iX20 experienced a lot of the same growing pains that people that were early adopters of the iX12 did, if that makes sense. Dang, dude, you had your RF turn off on your iX20? Like, that's terrible. Especially if you're using that thing to fly a big turbine and you're defying gravity with $30,000 in jet, and the RF just happens to turn off all of a sudden, and you see your $30,000 go. Uh-oh. Yeah, the iX12 was a much different radio today than it was when it was released. I think I didn't get mine. I didn't get it on the first wave of radios that came in. No, that was completely dry, dude. That was a pork chop fart. Those aren't wet. Now, if it was chilly, I probably would have been like, uh-oh. But yeah, pork chops, dude, I'm not worried, man. I'm letting a pork chop fart fly all day. I think it's gonna be all right. Those are dry. Um. So yeah, I got my iX12 probably as part of the second batch of radios. And when I got it, it wasn't on the initial software release. It was on the second update that had ever happened for an iX12, which still had a lot of problems. So actually, I got it after the first update. So I say it was the second update. So they had the initial software release, and then they had the first update, which is the second version of software that existed for that radio. That's when I got mine, was after the first big update. And there were still some problems with the radio doing odd things. And with all of the updates, every update that they've made has improved the radio. And at this point, I would say that the iX12 and the iX20 both are going to be as reliable as any other transmitter on the market. So don't worry too much about them. You know, if you're debating whether or not to pull the trigger, if that is something that you want, don't worry about the reliability. It's going to be a reliable. It's going to be a reliable radio. Is it going to do what you need? I mean, that's up for you, up to you to decide. I would say most likely yes. There's not much that they can't do. See you, Mike. Thanks, Roland. Yeah, Jeff West, I think that you're going to be in good hands with the iX20. I think it'll do. I think it'll do what you need it to do. Now, I'd be more concerned with receiver choice. You know, with that, with an airplane like that, you're probably going to want to go with like the PowerSafe 12 or 20 channel receivers, and they cost a lot of money, but they're worth it, man. You know, at the end of the day, I think you can run like 4 or 5 satellites on those things. You know, it's got like plug-in AS3X modules if you want it, 20 outputs, dual redundant power input. So if you lose a battery, you got another one sitting there. There's a lot of benefits, especially on really expensive planes like that, in going with the PowerSafe receiver. So, you know, if you're going to spend that much on a transmitter, don't skimp on the receiver. Get you a good one. Yeah, so I think the 20 channel PowerSafe, you can do 4 satellites in the 20 channel PowerSafe receivers. Not tonight, Randy. Not tonight. I may have to get up early in the morning and do some things, and that's okay. Man, that's all we drink down here is Coke. And even if this can look like something else, it's still a Coke. No, GB. No wobbly smokes, no wobbly pops. I am 100% sober tonight. This is just how crazy I am all the time. Quitting smoking does suck, which is probably why I haven't done it yet. So, Roach Coach, what I'll tell you is it's not like I don't drink Pepsi. But it doesn't matter what the can looks like. In Atlanta, everything is a Coke. Even if it says Pepsi, it's still a Coke. You know, Coke in Atlanta is like saying pop up in the Midwest. Or, a liter of cola up in up in New England. Can I get a liter of cola? We don't have a liter of cola. Like that's what we call it. Pop soda in the southeast, specifically in Georgia, it's Coke. It's all Coke. Yes, anything sugary is a Coke except tea. And down here, tea is just called tea. In other places, they call that sweet tea. So, imagine my dismay the first time I head outside of the Southeast and I ask for tea and they bring me some and it's like this bitter, disgusting thing. I'm like, what the hell is this? Something doesn't taste right with this, waitress. Something's not right with this tea. It tastes fine to me. Like, no, something's wrong with it. Y'all forgot an ingredient. Like, this is unsweet tea. Like, what the hell are you talking about, unsweet tea? I will smack your mouth. You better go fix that crap. We don't do unsweet tea. So, that was something I had to get used to when I moved up to New England after joining the Navy was, what the hell is unsweet tea and how do I fix it? And that's probably when I started drinking so much soda, because as a kid, I didn't drink a lot of Coke, man. We always had tea in the house, and I drank tea a lot. When I got to New England, you couldn't get sweet tea anywhere unless you went to if you went to a place that had barbecue. And Amy, I don't know if you remember this. They had a barbecue place down the street from our house that we went to a couple of times, where it was this guy that, he was good. It was good barbecue, and he had sweet tea in his barbecue joint, and it was fantastic. This little barbecue joint in Groton, Connecticut, tiny little town full of guys that are on submarines. This guy brought Southern barbecue up to New England, and it was great. In New England, they didn't know what a pork chop was. Y'all got pork chops? What? Oh, that was funny. So, yeah, that was really when I started drinking a lot of Coke, was when I moved to New England, because I didn't want unsweet tea. And you guys know, like, people that drink sweet tea, you can't take sugar packets and put it in a glass of unsweet tea and hope that it's going to come out the same. It's not the same as getting properly made sweet tea, where you boil the water and you pour hot, steeping tea into a pitcher and it melts the sugar. You can't take a glass of iced tea and put packets of whatever the hell you're going to put in there and hope that it's going to be the same. It's not the same. Blasphemers. Jeff West, that is a big negative. You will only see the information from one of those smarty SCs. Oh, excuse me. Barry Campbell, yes, New London and Groton are kind of the same town. So on the Thames River that runs down into the Long Island Sound, on one side of the Thames River, on the eastern side of the Thames River, is Groton. And on the, now this is once you go under the Gold Star Bridge. On the western side of the Gold Star Bridge is New London, or the west side of the Thames River is New London. The east side is Groton. Groton is technically where the submarine base is, even though the submarine base is called Submarine Base New London. It is not technically in New London. It's in New London County, but it is not in the New London town. It is in the town of Groton, Connecticut. You know, that is true. All the sugar that didn't dissolve in the cold tea in the bottom of your glass that's just sitting there in the bottom. So that last shot of unsweet tea that you try to mix sugar into, that last shot of tea has all those sugar granules in it. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, there's definitely a too sweet and a not sweet enough. There is absolutely a just right level. If it's too sweet, it's like syrup. And if it's not sweet enough, it's bitter and gross. And there's like a zone of happiness there when you're adding sugar to the sweet tea. And Amy's right, we use 1 cup of sugar per gallon of tea, and it seems like a lot, and it kind of is. But that's how much we use, and that's that just right spot. A cold Pepsi. What you need is a cold Coke. All right, see you, Bledsoe. I'll get in touch with you, brother. What the heck is Neotame? 1,000 times sweeter than sugar. That sounds excellent. Yeah, they've got that Splenda stuff, and Splenda's not terrible, but it's not great either. Like there's no replacement for just regular sugar, and if I ever become diabetic, that's going to be a problem cuz I like sweet tea. And I don't it's weird. I like sweet tea, I like Coke, stuff that people would typically say like that's way too sweet. But I don't eat a lot of sweet foods. So I'm not a big fan of like ice creams, snacks, like real sugary stuff. I tend to like my snacks. You know, I like salty things better. So like corn chips, um, bean dip, chips and salsa, things like that. I don't do a lot of sugary snacks. The only kind of sugar intake I get is from drinking tea, and drinking cokes. So, yes. Look, I have no idea. I have no idea how these conversations get steered the way they do. But listen, if there's 72 people in here and we want to talk about tea, then we're going to talk about tea. If there's 72 people in here and we want to talk about airplanes tonight, we'll talk about airplanes. But tonight, for whatever reason, we're talking about sweet tea. That's is that what Ryan's talking about when I said I like things that are salty? That's funny. That's what the cat does. I don't know that I know what that is. Um, Wild Bill. Yeah, that's the saltiest cheese, Ryan. Especially when you get it from a sailor. You know, like a sailor that's been in, 20, 25, 30 years, like a old crusty Master Chief. Dude, that's some salty stuff. I do like Slim Jims. Mm. So before this next weekend, and I know I talked about this last week, but I actually want to do it because this next Monday is going to be another. Oh, so I may as well get this out there now. We got 71 people in here, so you guys are all going to hear this announcement. Next week is the first Monday of October, which means that it is a virtual fly-in week. So Real Flight 9, Real Flight 8, Real Flight 7.5. 9.5 has not been released yet. I'm not sure if it can connect with Real Flight 9, 8, and 7.5 yet. We will see. When 9.5 comes out, everybody that's got Real Flight 9 is going to get a free update to Real Flight 9.5. So we're kind of getting this back on track now, right? We're talking about airplane stuff again. So everybody that's talking, or everybody that's got Real Flight 9 will get an upgrade to Real Flight 9.5 when it is released towards the end of October. What I wanted to mention is that next week's virtual fly-in will be, there will be a contest that is judged by the audience. So the more people we have, the better. And the winner of the flying competition will receive a $25 gift card to Horizon Hobby. Last month's winner was Mr. Colin Clohan, and he had the lowest inverted pass. This next competition for next Monday's virtual fly-in will be, thank you, Gooniac. I really appreciate it, brother. Next week, it will be the lowest knife edge pass. So last month, it was lowest inverted pass. This month, it will be the lowest knife edge pass. So everybody that participates will have a shot at winning $25, and everybody that is in the audience is going to choose the winner. Ultimately, I choose the winner based on the feedback from the audience. So don't miss it next week. It should be a lot of fun. Anytime we do the contest, it's a lot of fun doing the virtual fly-ins. So make sure that you're there for that next week when we have the lowest knife edge pass competition. Winner takes $25 home. Any plane you want, 200 driver. Here's the caveat to that. It has to be a stock aircraft, no modified aircraft. So, like, if you take an aircraft and you modify the crap out of it, where, like, the only way it flies is knife edge, not allowed. You have to take a stock aircraft and fly it. Deuces, absolutely. If you can rub it on the ground without crashing, so that's the thing. If you crash, it doesn't count. And the audience will judge you harshly. I expect the audience to judge extremely harshly. So hopefully we have a good crowd in here. We can get some people competing, for a $25 gift certificate. And, we will have some harsh, extremely harsh judges that are just going to let people have it. And it should be fun. That's what we should do, Mickey B. Like you have to you have to knife edge the airship. That'll be awesome. Bravo, that's what makes it fun. So if you know that next week is a knife edge competition, start practicing knife edges and win you $25. And everybody knows, like, Colin's already out because he won last month. He can't win 2 months in a row. So come get you $25. Hey, listen. At the end of the day, the audience decides the winner. So even if the person who wins never actually accomplishes a knife edge pass, but the audience says that they win, then they win. Have you guys ever seen Big Daddy? Hey, what's the name of this game? I win. How do you play it? You hand out cards and then I win. So, if the audience says that Bravo wins because he did 15 cartwheels in an attempt to make a knife edge pass, then you win. Who am I to argue? The customer is always right. This is bullshit. Hip hop anonymous. Why you always get the easy ones? Hey, Deuces, that's a good idea for the next one. Longest inverted flat spin. But this next week will absolutely be lowest knife edge pass. And next month, and we'll canvas the audience, but I like the longest inverted flat spin. That is awesome. Yeah, Guniak, absolutely. guys, if you have links to drop, as long as you're not like dropping porn, you can drop whatever links you want in here. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Yeah, so we got some thunder going on outside. So I might go ahead and call it early just to be on the safe side of things where, I don't have to worry about the power just dropping offline and the whole stream cutting out because of the storm, like shut my computer off. So what I do want to do before we do that, though, is give a shout out to all of the channel members. And that'll be coming up here soon. So, for those of you guys that are curious, there are several ways that you can support the channel. Whether that is through super chats on our weekly live shows or through purchasing merchandise. We absolutely appreciate both of those gestures. They are very kind, and we very much appreciate the support of the community. Also, you can leave support via PayPal. There's a link in the ticker that goes across the bottom of the screen if you want to do it that way. And another way is by becoming a member of the channel. There are 3 tiers of membership. There is what is it? What are the names? Right, so you can become a member of the Air Marshal Posse for $1.99 a month. You can become an Air Marshal Deputy for $4.99 a month. Or you can become a Sheriff of the Air Marshal community, and that comes in at $9.99 a month. And, just depending on how much you want to contribute to the channel, there are certain things, certain perks, different discount codes that are available. And, sometimes I post some content that is exclusive for our channel members. We still need to do our sheriff's session where we get together and kind of discuss the future of the channel. And I actually want to do that soon, probably in the next, sometime this week. I know I said that like 2 weeks ago. Sometime this week for sure, because there's stuff that I need to talk to you guys about. So, with all that said, the sheriffs do get a shout out once a week, which is awesome for them. So we will do our shout out of the sheriff. So that includes Flying Times. That includes Mike SSI, Spencer Keith, Dave Kowishki, William Mergita, RC Stinger, Joseph Ramsey, Jet Tech Don Atkins, Sandros 54, Ken Sprouse Jr., and George Watts. As you guys can see, there are some folks in here that have gold badges next to their names. The gold badges, that is our longest tenured members. Whether you are part of the posse or you are a deputy or a sheriff, everybody gets those badges. So everyone that's got a gold badge, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. These guys are awesome. And also, the members of the channel get a super cool emoji. The UMX Doberman emoji. Fred Barron. You are fantastic, my friend. Thank you so much for doing that. Yes, Marshall White. If you look next to, say, William Mergita right here, who's got all the UMX Dobermans, and Joseph Youngblood, George Watts both have silver badges. William Mergita, Spencer Keith have gold badges. That's signs of, their tenure as a member. Gold badges would be, the longest level of tenured membership. When you are fully vested, you get a gold badge. So thank you to all of the folks who are members of the channel that are now sporting gold badges. You have been here since the beginning of our membership program, and we appreciate all of your support. Yes, we don't need no stinking badges. I get it. Nathaniel, that would be awesome. I actually have one, but it's on the other side of the room, and that's where my cable modem's plugged in. So that supports all of the Wi-Fi throughout the house. I'd rather have the Wi-Fi keep going than this computer. It can run the Wi-Fi for like 4 hours. So if we lose power, we can still like get on the internet on our phones. Yes, Ryan. For $4 a month, you can help the Air Marshal save all of the pygmy dogs who were getting eaten in the rainforest by horrible, horrible people. They were being hunted for their pelts and eaten, and we can take them in as pets. So your $4 a day will help at least 15 animals, and we're going to get you a plush dog toy that looks just like one of the pygmy dogs that's getting eaten from the rainforest and hunted for its pelts. Yes. Michael Branch. Anyway, yes, Roach Coach, thank you, sir. Thank you for coming out. Thanks to all of you for showing up. Make sure that you go and hang out with Gooniac here soon. It is 9:30, so Gooniac will be starting up in 45 minutes. Can you tell me what S-Bus controls? I saw a guy use... I will answer this very quickly. So S-Bus, Dana's RC, S-Bus is a serial protocol used by Futaba. It is an open protocol, so it's used by Futaba. It's used by FrSky. I think you can get FlySky with S-Bus, maybe. And so you can also set up Crossfire with S-Bus. S-Bus allows for a single serial wire to carry all of the output channels of a transmitter, regardless of how many output channels are on a receiver. So there's PWM outputs, which are for like servos, so pulse width modulated outputs are what make servos move back and forth. And depending on the length of the pulse width, decides on where, the servo is going to sit, based on like nanoseconds of it being open or microseconds or something like that. But anyway, the serial output, so whether that's SRXL or SRXL2 for Spectrum, S-Bus for Futaba, you can take a single wire and run it into an S-Bus compatible, like a flight controller or something that's going to demodulate that serial signal and be able to control multiple stuff. All right, so things are getting pretty bad here, guys. I mean, like, my whole house just lit up because we got a nasty thunderstorm. But needless to say, there is a S-Bus output where across a single wire you can control everything that the transmitter supports, right? So even though a receiver may say it's 6-channel, if that 6-channel receiver has an S-Bus output or an SRXL output, you have 6 servo outputs on that receiver, and then you've also got your SRXL, SRXL2 S-Bus. You take that and you run it over to a flight controller, and the flight controller can handle all of the channels that the transmitter can support. So if you've got like a 12-channel transmitter like an IX12, you can send all 12 channels across SRXL2. Or if you have, say, a 16-channel Futaba, you can send all 16 channels across S-Bus or like FrSky. And you can set it between like 8 and 16. It's all stuff that you can set up within S-Bus. The less channels you use, the faster the protocol gets. So, yeah, you can absolutely do that with one wire. Instead of needing 8 wires going into a gyro, you can run 1, which is nice. Anyway, I gotta get heading out. You guys are awesome. Thank you for coming out. Be sure to tune in to Gooniac Show here in it's in about 40 minutes. So be sure to come back to the tube, find 40 minutes worth of stuff to watch, and we will see you guys next week for our next virtual fly-in. And I will let all of the sheriffs and probably just all the channel members will be able to join in on this. But the sheriffs for sure, I will put out something this week and let you guys kind of pick a time when we're going to do our powwow. Anyway, you guys all have a great night. Thank you all for coming out, and we will see you next week.